they have the same idea as the sheet metal vice grips. They lock, they can be expanded and contracted. Now, the reason I would like to use this is because it's very fast. You could just kind of open it up, and then as you're clamping, you can adjust to exactly how much you want it, and then it locks. See that? So it's really easy. You could do it one hand, open it, close it. So for me, that's very easy. So now I have my center hole punched. Now I'm just going to drill it. Very easy. Done. Right? Now we need to transfer the holes to my flat piece. So I remove that. Okay, now the hole is nicely there. And I place my material on top. This could take a lot of time, just by the fact that the fine-tune adjustments can take a lot of time. But
couldn't you just mark it with like a marker or something? Or you just align it?
yeah, but you want to see, it's a tricky thing when it comes to this edge. It's how far you want to come down on it and how far you want to be up at the edge. It's sort of like a decision. It's an aesthetic decision. So it's kind of how tight you want to make it. Now, so in a lot of ways, I like to get it pretty close. So now I know that's where it ought to be. And you always want to double check it. And then sometimes it's very good to also use a guide, a reference guide on the top, because this, to align these two, is critical. Otherwise, your whole piece could be off. So now I would like to sometimes use a piece of metal such as that, and just too thin. This. Use my ruler. Just basically push the two material together. See, when I press my ruler on here and then I bring my edge, my bent edge, to my ruler, and now I can clamp. That's there, right?
Would it work also if you
That's
use a
my
ruler?
phone. Just leave it. Yeah, what are you gonna say?
Did you just use a ruler? Or would that not work?
For what?
Well, if you measured like where it was, and you transferred the measurement.
Yes, I mean to drill the holes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now you can measure it out and drill your holes, but 9 out of 10 times the two measurements will have discrepancies. No matter how close you get, unless you use a jig, which you have something that you already have it's like a template that you can use over and over again. 9 out of 10 times when measuring, no matter how close you are, there's always going to be slight discrepancies unless you're using a form such as this or tracing it. There's always going to be a little bit off. Now I made one hole, so I want to check it and see if it connects. Okay, so that's good. So I could do my first hole, or I could drill the other one. Now also sometimes it'll be good also to have 2 vice grips on there to make sure that it doesn't move. So now this piece is pretty well situated. Okay, now we have 2 holes. And I think right now this piece is ready to be attached. So I flip it over. Thank you. This is my rivet gun. Now, you all take the subway, right?
Yeah.
You've been on the Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge or something? Have you seen those big round studs? Those are also rivets. But those are called hot rivets.
Well, they are studs.
You know how that's, you know how the process of how these hot rivets are put together? That process is no longer, carried out these days. Back in the days, you have a blank rivet, okay? It's like you have that big knobby thing on the end, and it will just have a stem. The stem will stick out of the 2 pieces of metal. It'll stick beyond the other. Now, it won't have a stud on the other end. Now, what happened is somebody, during those times, is sitting in front of a coal-burning oven or furnace. And the heat, all those pieces are in there, being heated to a red hot. And then these pieces get thrown to the guys up. Let's say if a guy's working up above a bridge, they'll use these scoops, such as your ladle kind of a thing, and they'll take one and they'll fly it in the sky, and the person above will catch it while it's hot, and then put it into the hole. And on the other side, they will have a cup that's the same size as the front stud, and they pound the 2 pieces together to create the 2 studs on either side, which then sandwich the piece. Right? So now, we don't do this here. So, that was back in the days, So, now we're going to use this kind of rivets, which is not all that hard to do. So we, whoop, where'd it go? All right, I'm going to do it. Fine. So we're going to put it through. All right, if you're not careful, the thing falls out. So put it through one hole, put it through the other one, okay? Now just squeeze, and it takes another squeeze until it pops off, and I do the next one. It's out. Have another one. Pop it in. Sometimes it needs little persuasion. Sometimes it just does. So now this piece is pretty good on your poly or part of the poly heater. Now I could